Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Dark Side of the Ring review, baby. We are back talking Dark Side of the Ring, Season 5, Episode 1, The Ballad of Earthquake. John Tenta, I believe is what his name is, Tenta.
Yes.
A wrestler I am not super familiar with. I actually, I have a few comments about this episode, but actually, this episode made me endear to Earthquake a little bit more. I didn't really care for him as a wrestler, and I wasn't around mostly when he was big in wrestling. I didn't start wrestling until the mid '90s, so. But after watching this episode, I really like the guy, and I really it's kind of a little bit of an opposite of Dark Side of the Ring. It's kind of like a Rainbow's side of the ring, like the happy side of the ring. Anyway, I'm going to introduce my co-conspirators here. We'll start off with our power bottom today, which is Gaz. How you doing?
I do real well. How you doing?
And the Zamatola of rock and rolla, Zam Laurinaitis. How you doing?
Croaking. No, not too great. But I'm croaking for your pleasure, baby.
So kind of a little bit of a different episode of Dark Side of the Ring, in my opinion. I know last season there were a couple, and I don't want to say this for me. I don't want to say this episode was bad. I thought it was enduring. I thought it was nice to see, this guy's wrestling career. This guy's wrestling career sucked towards the end, but honest and truly, I mean, it was, it was mostly, the way he went out with bladder cancer, which really sucks. And either one of you want to kind of chime in here on Earthquake? As I said, I'm not super familiar with him. And I mean, I knew of Earthquake, but I didn't know much about him until watching this.
Hello, Daniel. But I'm very familiar with Earthquake. I saw from his debut to his matches in WCW. The only time I was unfamiliar with him was the latter part of his years with the Oddities, which I was totally unaware of, to tell you the truth. But I'm looking forward to talking about him. He was one of the nice guys, and I almost feel that this episode of Dark Side was more of not like they could just rename this episode not Dark Side of the Ring, but just a spotlight in the ring. Yeah, the latter end of his career was not great, and he died way too early at 43.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't a junkie. He was a good man. People only had nice words to say about him. When you can make people like Haku cry, there's something about you that's very endearing. So,
and I also felt like this episode was a little bit about Ricky Steamboat too, or Tugboat. Sorry, not Ricky Steamboat, Tugboat. Yeah. Because like they did donate a significant amount of time to Tugboat. And the whole what was it, Shockmaster thing, which was
Shockmaster, yeah.
Dude,
we'll get to that.
So, well, I mean, this is kind of an open format. Unless you guys want to go through, I know Zam, you have some notes.
Some notes. I mean,
yeah. I remember Earthquake because that was my introduction. Was he was just I think he just got beaten by Hogan just as I got into wrestling. Well, WWE style wrestling. I didn't realize there was other styles of wrestling when I got into it. And he was an impressive guy. I mean, he was a big, tall guy, but also he was massive in size. I mean, he literally I didn't, because there's things about him that I didn't know. There's some things I didn't know. For example, that he was originally a sumo wrestler. I didn't know that. I didn't know how high level of sumo wrestler he was. And the reasons why he didn't continue with that, so that was good to hear. But I always liked him because he looked like one of the few guys who could literally kill you. Because his finish looked legit. I mean, I know it wasn't, but it looked it. Because you got a 400-pound man landing over his weight onto your buddy's chest. I don't care who you are, you're going to be selling that shit.
Well, his career began in sumo. I mean, he was a sought after athlete. A lot of people wanted him. A lot of universities wanted him, and he would end up going to LSU. And he always had a love for wrestling in general. And he moved over to Japan where he learned the art of sumo, and he was very good at it. He also could speak fluent Japanese, which I'm sure benefited him as well. But the lifestyle wasn't working for him out there until he came back to America, where he infamously debuted on Wrestling Challenge, I believe, where he got, when they always call some random dude from the audience, and the guy looks like he's built like a brick shit house, so he's the size of a fucking house. And then fucking John Tenta coming in there, with the dad bod to the dad shirt and stuff like that. And then obviously he fucks over Ultimate Warrior, and he's part of Jimmy Hart's stable. And he always had this thing about him. One thing I always liked about him was like he'd go like this when he's like on the fucking doing a promo. He'd be like on his feet. That was really cool. I like that about him. But yeah, go on.
I was going to say, no, you're actually right. Like, for example, like I love the fact that he started Japan being a sumo wrestler, and that he started off as a sumo wrestler. The reason he could continue is because he had the tattoo of the tiger on his right arm, and because of apparently the Japanese, because Japanese tie that to Yakuza.
Yakuza,
yeah.
Japanese mafia.
Yeah. So he started wrestling in Japan, and then he went over to America.
It's funny how times have changed, because David Beckham is a very popular guy in Japan, and he's covered in tattoos. He's got tattoos everywhere.
Yeah.
And they don't care about that now like they once did. I mean, I'm sure some people do, but times have changed a little. He had a match in Japan, funnily enough, against a former sumo wrestler called Kitao. We saw that match, and he beat him pretty well. And then Kitao played stiff on him. And this is the one thing I want to, before I get onto that more, just quick as a wrestler, watching him wrestle, all the things he did as a big man, you could see how he never tried to hurt his opponent. Like, you can see the way he executed moves, that he did it in a way that looks just about right. But at the same time, you can see that the opponent's not going to get hurt by it, like when he jumps on them and earthquake splashes them and all of that. When he power slams them, even when he chair shotted Hogan, he didn't look like he put any force into it. So you could tell that he really cared about his opponents. No one, like when you talk about these big guys, these big lumbering oafs, and that's no offense to John Tenta, you think of people like maybe Viscera and Carly and those guys who are cumbersome, Nia Jax, even in the women's division, big fat cumbersome fucking fuckwits. But Tenta wasn't definitely like that.
Yeah, he was more like a Bam Bam Bigelow who knew what he was doing with his guys.
Yeah. You had to use his weight and all of that.
Yes. Yeah, so like the thing that you were just talking about, I'm going to a bit more detail on, like, because that coach, what's his name, Coach Kibushi, they had a match in New Japan. Was it New Japan or Old Japan? No, New Japan, because it was Baba. New Japan, and he won. And that's when he went to WWE. And what happened is WWE had him have the return match. Now, it was supposed to be Hogan versus that Coach Kibushi guy. But apparently, there's a story going around that apparently Koji was going around telling people that he was going to shoot on Hogan. And John Tenta heard about this and wasn't pleased. He didn't like this fella anyway. Because apparently when they'd had the match the first time, he'd been a bit stiff with it.
Is this, are you talking about the guy who
the
he
Japanese
fought
guy?
Yeah, the guy that kind of outed wrestling, like at that.
Yeah, that Koji Kibushi, yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so yeah,
what
that
a
guy.
Douche.
Oh, he's a complete douche. Like, I mean, because there's actually a whole thing on YouTube about that event, what happened, and like apparently and because to mess with Earthquake, who's 400 pounds, 6'7", he looked like he could legit kick your ass. That takes
He's a
some
professional
skill.
sumo wrestler. He's a martial artist. When you're a sumo wrestler, people might joke about this, but you're a martial artist. It's a martial art. It's a big man martial art. Don't fuck with people like that. It's a form of judo as well, so
yeah, you don't know sumo wreck you. It ain't just fat people. Like they are built like brick shit houses.
Yeah, exactly. He did combine both the pro wrestling and the sumo really well in the industry, but this is why I kind of felt sorry for him, because he was in the era where you get fed to Hogan and then there's nothing left for you to do after that but go downhill. And that's what he was. He was fed to Hogan. And I remember his feud with Hogan and all of that.
It was so well done.
It was well done, but everybody else, like there was only one top guy. Even when Ultimate Warrior came in, he was a flash in the pan. WrestleMania 6, he won the belt. Within a year by Royal Rumble, he had lost the belt. It was all Hogan. And
that's kind of the retro Roman Reigns at this point. Like that everybody's fed to Roman Reigns. It's the exact same thing. And I'm not saying that because my Debatamania opponent's here. I am legit saying that. It's like Cena too. Although honestly, I feel like Cena was a little bit more generous. Like, and I know it's not Cena's fault. I know it's not Reigns' fault. Like it's the company's booking. It's not.
Well, there are 2 belts, and
now,
other people, but there were other people before Reigns had this reign, so to speak. There are people who have established themselves pretty well. Ex-champions, like McIntyre, like Seth Rollins.
I thought he had the better success when he lost Hogan and he went for the tag belts with Typhoon, because they were such a great tag team. Well, they went to tag together. I know what you're saying.
I am going to get to that, because after obviously his Hogan thing finished, he had another feud, and this is when he's had memorable moments. His debut was memorable. This is another memorable moment. Him and Jake the Snake Roberts, their feud and killing. And I genuinely thought, because back then I did not know, I genuinely thought he killed Damien. Like I could, because you saw what it is. They put like a rotating motor thing in the bag to make it look like the snake was still in the bag.
Well, I think Jake the Snake said it was.
Yeah, he made pantyhoses and stuff like that.
Yeah, with meat with ground beef in it.
But to make it look like there was a snake in it, they put some sort of motor in there which would make it move in the bag, so it looks like there's a snake in the bag, and it fooled me. It fooled me, and then fucking
Baby Zam's not hard to fool. I mean, come on.
It's a long time ago, man. I was a kid back then.
Yeah, it was really, really well done. I think Jason State's reaction to it was fucking brilliant. Like the way that he looked.
Oscar worthy, man. Yeah, you saw his reaction to when he imagine somebody killed one of our pets. Would be devastated, like killing a kid. He sold that so well, and then he had to look in the bag and all of that. Oh God.
I know. Funny is that it was Jake the Snake's idea to do. That originally was supposed to be him outside the ring, and then Earthquake was going to do it when he wasn't looking, and Jake's like, no, he's going to tie me up in the ropes and make me watch, and I'm like, oh, that's good. That's
such good psychology and stuff like that. That was really good. I mean, as I said, because the thing is that and that was so fun. As I said, I love this. I know this was a very dark side. I think the most dark side thing was what happened with Koji Kabushi, whatever his name is. But yeah, but I thought this was really good because it was like building up the fact that this guy, again, when he tagged with Typhoon, that was such a fucking good tag team. I mean, people don't forget how good big man
love that tag team.
People forget how good big man tag teams could be. It knows the piss out of me. It's like all the tag teams have got to be like the Hardy Boys on the Bucks or something like that. It's like, Where's our good big man tag team? Where's our Demolition?
Well,
Any of that shit?
those guys were not big men. You talk about big men. There was one which were really shit, and they were men on a mission.
Oh, yeah.
And then is it Marvin and Mabel or some shit like that?
Yeah, you're right.
God. Oh god, they were fucking because Viscera back then. He was one of the clumsy big men. But the good thing to come out of this is that Jimmy Hart, he betrayed the natural disasters to manage Money Incorporated, which was
money talks, baby. Money talks.
I always found that funny that a millionaire and a tax man would want to be a tag team. But fair enough, they were, and he managed them, and that made natural disasters a face. And I think I heard that Tenta was dying to be a face. Because kids were scared of him and all of that, and him being that nice guy, him being that good guy in real life, which a lot of heels were back then. All the heels in real life were good guys. All the faces wankers back then, and he had this opportunity to be that good guy. But unfortunately, like his singles run, the tag team ran its course. Like there was not much they could do. Yeah, but they were champion. But like I don't know what it is with the WWE. Like like the longevity of everyone else outside the main stars is not a priority to them. It's just about Hogan. Back then,
back then, yeah. I mean, everything was about Hogan. I mean, you even look at Macho Man, you look at Rowdy Piper, you look at Ric Flair, you look at Sid Vicious, you look at like any of those big names back in like the early 90s, late 80s. Like until like Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Bret Hart came in, and like Hogan left.
Yeah.
That's when you finally started seeing more of that. But no, you're right. It was all Hulk Hogan. Like they fed people to Hogan. It was, that's the one thing that, I hope we get out of this boring Roman Reigns reign is we erase the record set by Hulk Hogan, but they're never going to beat that Bruno Sammartino one. So, I mean, if they do, it's ridiculous. That's too much, but
well, and what happened after that was, by the way, during they mentioned about the brutal schedule. Obviously, the brutal schedule comes up again, as it always has within the WWE. Like these guys would only spend maybe 2 days a month with their families, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And then they never really partied though. This is the thing. Like you hear about wrestlers partying all the time and burning the candles at both ends, but these guys they took Quake and Typhoon. They were just chill in the room together, and eat. And those guys, you could tell that those motherfuckers could fucking eat. So that was funny. Quake goes back to Japan. Typhoon joins the WCW, and then we get the whole little side quest here on this episode regarding the Shockmaster debut. Something I also remember because it was so funny. It was so funny. My God, like a stormtrooper helmet that looks like it belongs in a gay nightclub. What the fuck, man? Like.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, right? Let's say everything went like it was supposed to, and it went well. You still have a massive guy with a glittery stormtrooper helmet on, wearing a fur coat. I mean, how seriously are you going to take that fucking guy?
And he's not even speaking under that helmet. It's Ole Anderson.
Yeah. I'll do the voice for you. I'm the Shockmaster. I am the Shockmaster. That's actually what he's doing.
I'll get you next time, Inspector Gadget.
It's actually Dr. Claw. Yeah, exactly. It's Dr. Claw. It's fucking Dr. Claw.
I forgot who else was there. I remember Bulldog and Sting and
Bulldog.
I completely forgot Bulldog was in WCW. Before.
He's worth it just for that, because literally you can hear as he falls over. He fell right in his ass. He fell right in his fucking ass. He literally says that as he falls over, and then it's a good because it's Booker T as well, because they're trying to move forward and then like. Oh God! It's just
I mean, I felt bad for the guy. I mean, that was a dumb idea, and especially that stupid helmet. Like, what were they trying to do with that stupid helmet? Like, come on, guys. Like, were we really this stupid back in the 90s? And what was it? Was it 91 or was it 93? I don't
I
remember.
think we're getting into the mid-90s now. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 94.
Like, it was so bad. So
I
bad.
mean, and when they brought Earthquake in it as Avalanche, it's like, really? It's like that they couldn't really try any harder.
Well, before they did that, like they showed, it was amazing to me that Aku and Snake didn't know about that moment. It was like it was lost to them, which was shocking. No pun intended. So they showed them that footage, and Haku was laughing his fucking ass off. I was laughing with him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That was so funny.
I mean, I've got to say, there's not a year that I do not watch the Shockmaster footage since I've learned about it. It is literally one of the funniest things in wrestling.
Gary sits down every day on his birthday, and he turns on that Haku or that, and he sits down and watches the Shockmaster footage and has a good wank. That's his birthday every year.
Well,
no, but
well, he comes in as Avalanche, then he becomes Shark because Avalanche, like, it's the thing. He's Earthquake, and Avalanche just feels like, okay, you can't call yourself Earthquake, so you call yourself Avalanche. It's not working. Then you call yourself Shark, which was the most stupid.
Well, I think the WWF might have maybe a cease and desist because they even said that it was too similar to Earthquake, and the WWF wasn't going to let that fly. So I don't know if maybe they changed it because they were afraid of a CAD, or if they were just, or if they just changed it. But I was under the impression that the WWF had something to do with them changing the name.
Well, like, I mean, I don't know, like you see TNA, they called like Team 3D, and they had instead of Bubba Ray, they had Brother Ray and stuff like that, which was very close. I always thought, but yeah, regardless, well, I mean, we'll never really know, I guess, but calling him Shark was stupid. But then this is the next thing I remember. This is probably the last significant thing I remember him doing was coming out and getting on the mic and saying, I ain't an Avalanche, I ain't a Shark, I'm a man, and my name is John Tenta. I remember that vividly.
I remember that as well.
Yeah.
I do not.
It was a cool moment. It made him very endearing to me. Made me like him even more.
Yeah, and then like the final.
It's okay, Ginger. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. We're all good, mate.
It's all going around. I mean, right now we got Zamclaw, Dr. Zaw.
Yeah, but that was a cool moment, and in a way, I wish that kind of elevated him to a degree. But he still had that same out. Maybe he needed an outfit change. I don't know.
I agree. He needs to get rid of. And then did he came back to WWE as one of the oddities?
Well,
what
this is the
actual fuck?
When he did come back to the WWE, he did have an outfit change. He was the oddity. His name was Boulder. This is the only thing I was unaware of. I kind of really learned this by watching this episode. But they trapped him up as well. They gave him a dirty looking shirt. But the fans, watching and some of the stuff after this, the fans knew that he was Golda, and they were actually chanting "Earthquake, Earthquake" the same way when Albert came back as a different gimmick. They were chanting "Albert, Albert."
When he was Lord Japsai.
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, but yeah, Tensai. Yeah. So yeah, that was. This is why I don't like Vince McMahon, because you got Earthquake right there, mate, and you do this to him.
They could have just literally called him Earthquake and made him an oddity and just not had the mask. Like it made no sense for them to do that, to put him behind a mask.
Yeah, but you know what Vince McMahon's like? If somebody goes to WCW and he doesn't like the reason they went, he's gonna go, "Oh, how am I gonna where's the DLC with Vince McMahon impression? Why do Tommy? He's not gonna be Earthquake anymore. He's gonna be Golgar in a flaming silver mask."
See, where's D Jose? We need a good Vince McMahon impersonator on these things. He is the 2022 Golden Glasses award-winning Vince McMahon impersonator, and he's not here.
I just want to also add, it was really fascinating seeing Jerry Sags from the Nasty Boys look normal. Because like when I saw him, I didn't recognize who he was. Then he reminded me that he's Jerry Sags from the Nasty Boys. I thought, holy shit, you look so fucking normal. But anyway, this is when like the episode starts becoming like a dark side episode. Because you know, in your career as a wrestler, you can have your ups and downs. Fair enough. But once he did quit wrestling, he started a wrestling school. I think it was him and Paul White, the Big Show. But he saw a picture of them together. But that never worked out. It's crazy because he was obviously making good money during his time as a wrestler. But you could tell the money for some reason ran out because the guy had to work in retail, which is crazy. You know, so.
I mean, because the thing is, I mean, you say that, but like, I mean, you have to be on top for a significant point of the time to learn good money. And the thing is that I mean, because you made a good point before when you said that he was one of the disposable big men brought in to beat up Hogan, which he was. And that's the thing that I hated about WWE booking back in the day, was that they would never do a long-time storyline. Because WCW would do exactly the same thing with Vader, but Vader was there for like 4 or 5 years. But I think he left on his own record to go to WWE. But he was a monster heel with Sting, and they had really good matches because he had got a build-up chemistry and build stories around the matches they already did have.
Yeah, he said he could have gone back to Japan, but I don't think he wanted to be away from his family anymore. Ginger, it was, you know, which is why I don't think he went back to Japan again. Yeah. That's what we were saying. I know this sounds weird, but I was happy to hear the dude with a clean living, nice dude. I fucking loved him as Earthquake and always cheered him. He's not in the Hall of Fame, by the way, which is a shocker.
No, he should
really.
Yeah, his career is super short. Come to think of it, he's
mid 80s to like the mid.
No, not mid, late. Pretty much the beginning of the 90s. He started wrestling.
Oh, I think he started sumoing in 86. I know he did something in 86. Probably was the sumo.
Yeah, pretty much his career was the 90s. You know, a 10-year career, which is fuck all as a wrestler.
Yeah.
He became a trucker, and that's when he had bladder cancer. And that image of his family saying goodbye to him as he's on his deathbed, his last years.
That really made me tear up because like his wife obviously still loves him by the way that she talks about him. His kids are like, you know, I'm having kids and I wanted them to know him and he was such a great dad and blah blah blah. It's just like, oh, this really gave me the feels. I mean, as I said, the dark side thing about this was the shoot match he had with that Japanese guy.
He took in his wife's son from a previous relationship like his own.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, the guy was awesome. But what upset me the most was, you know, watching this the second time. I never really picked up on this on the first time watching this. But the second time watching this, I did pick up on this, was that nobody in the industry reached out to them.
Mm-hmm. They said nobody came, which is weird. Like, I didn't like Haku. Like, so does that mean Haku didn't go? Earl Hebner? Like, these are all Jake the Snake. Like, these are all people that were like, or are they just talking about representatives from those?
Well, sometimes we are talking a different time. You know, like with social media nowadays, it's very easy to find out when somebody's passed. But
this was in 2006, though. I mean, I get it. Like in Facebook, you can figure it out, and that was technically, I think it was pre-Facebook or right before Facebook.
But we are talking also like people from a different era as well. Like, like, usually, if people have passed away, you're going to find out from Vince, you know, or something like that. And like the fact that Vince sent them nothing.
Yeah, not even flowers or anything. They said.
Yeah, it was like, it was very sad. And I do hope the WWE rectifies this and installs this guy into the Hall of Fame. You know,
What do you think it'll be, the natural disasters, or do you think Earthquake will be in there first?
earthquake, definitely. Natural disasters, possibly. You
I'd
know,
say you probably got more chance of natural disasters than if he's on his own.
really?
Yeah, because
I don't think so. No, dude
I
faced
don't
off
think so.
in a big feud against Hogan. Like the natural disasters were the tag champs, yes, but like as we said, like Earthquake went against Hogan in a big way. Yeah, he didn't really beat Hogan, but it was still a pretty big thing that he was facing off against. So I remember hearing about the Earthquake Hogan stuff, and I wasn't even in wrestling at that era. Natural disasters, I didn't even know they were tag champs until they mentioned it. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. It was good hearing from Typhoon. It was good hearing from Snake. El Hebner as well. You know, he had a really good bond with him. His brother, Dave Hebner's died. I was shocked about that. I never knew about that. Obviously, it was good hearing from Haku. Like I said, you know, a tough guy like that being brought to tears is really sad to see.
hello,
By the way,
Mr.
Haku, I heard he might be going into the Hall of Fame.
You think so?
You heard about? Yeah, I heard he might be going to be. I heard he might be the next inductee.
Really? That's really
yeah.
funny that he's on this episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, Paul Heyman's the first inductee.
It's Bull Ricardo as well.
There's a whole bunch of people. I mean, even Tugboat, you know, he needs to go in there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Just for the shot.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it ended quite kind of sadly, but just seeing all these family members coming around their table, going through all his memorabilia, reminiscing this really nice man's life, but knowing that he died at 43, I mean, I'm 3 years older than him. You know, it's crazy. He always looked like an old man. I mean, he was in his 20s when he was fighting Hulk Hogan, for fuck's sake. It's crazy. You know, and he looked like he was already in his 40s.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think Jake the Snake even said, he said it was funny because Jake the Snake was astounded when he heard how long he had been wrestling, you know, because I think in the like late 80s when he was facing Hogan, like Jake was like, I cannot believe how long this guy's been wrestling. And he's very good. Like, he's good at protecting your opponent, you know, like,
Yeah.
So, you know, that doesn't come natural, or it had to have come naturally to him, because that's not something that's really like, you have to develop it and be taught it. But he must have had a natural knack for that, for being a big guy.
I remember, by the way, I'm glad he brought this up, and I forgot to mention this. I remember crushing the steak and the burgers. The steak burgers, that was fucking hilarious. Also, a great match they had with the Bushwhackers and the last. By the way, the Bushwhackers need to be inducted. If they're not, then
do they induct a tag team every year, or is it every so often?
Yeah, I don't know, but they shouldn't have to. They could do 2 tag teams, 3 tag teams in one session. It doesn't matter.
Well, that's what I mean, though. They should be inducting at the very least, one tag team per year. Because I mean,
yeah. They are in the Hall of Fame. Fair enough. And last time we saw him, yeah, they're only 25. 25 when he fought Hogan.
That's almost like half Zam's age.
When he was like when he died, like there's wrestlers now
who's in the Hall of Fame? Sorry, the Bushwhackers.
The Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
The wrestlers in their 40s and like late 40s and stuff who are wrestling. You know, like now it's crazy, and he died at 43.
Papa Zam.
Yes. So, but overall, it was like this was a nice presented episode. Is it a dark side episode? Like, I don't know. What would you say, Gio?
I see that. I think I need to rank this like differently. Like, I feel like if I rank this as a Dark Side of the Ring episode, I would rank it poorly, because it's not a very good Dark Side of the Ring episode. is it a good, like as you said, Zam, in the beginning, like a spotlight of the ring, or what, whatever kind of weird name they can give it? Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. But like the name of it is like, it's kind of like ECW when the WWE brought ECW back. ECW, the show, was not that bad. It just sucked that it was called ECW. I'm glad they changed it to NXT. You know what I mean? Like ECW in WWE was not a bad program. There weren't bad wrestlers on there. It just wasn't ECW. So that's like this episode. It just wasn't Dark Side of the Ring. That side of the ring. You know what, Ginger, you're an asshole.
Yeah, Ginger giving it an
but
8.
I disagree. I think it was Darkseid because the guy, after being so famous and so on the top, I mean, wrestling Hogan for the title, then to be this joke of a character as Goga, and then just be a trucker. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, the guy should have been like a big man still on top, because the guy had talent. I mean, for a guy his size, he could move very quickly. He was very agile. He was apparently a really nice guy. And you telling me you can't do WWE or WCW or ECW couldn't make money or something like that?
Look, that's his career as a wrestler. Maybe was a bit all over the place, but the Dark Side of the Ring aspects are way more than just a person. It's way more than about the person's career. Sometimes it's the stuff that happens outside the ring. They could be into drugs, they could be into organized crime. They might have killed somebody. You know what I mean? And hidden the fact, all of these sort of things. That's what makes it Dark Side. John Tenta was a million miles away from all of that.
Yeah,
he wasn't a junkie. He was a family man. Didn't party. Killed nobody.
Everybody loved him. Everybody in the back loved him. Like you hear stories about people behind the scenes, and it's just like, everybody loved him. So as I said, it's different. Like I feel like I should rank it differently as an episode talking about wrestlers. I would rank it differently than an episode of Dark Side. So I mean, if you just tell me what you want. If you want my Dark Side rating, or if you want my
do both ratings, Gio.
Do your negative one first.
My negative. I mean, for a Dark Side, I would give this a 4 because it's not a Dark Side. Like it is missing the essence of what Dark Side of the Ring is. However, as just a biopic or a documentary on Earthquake, I give it like an 8. Like it was good. It was, they had the family talking. They had all the wrestling veterans like Earl Hebner, Jake the Snake, which are kind of common on this show, but still. I kind of wish we would have heard maybe from Jimmy Hart, because he's still alive, right? I think he is.
Yes.
Jimmy Hart, Jim Cornette.
Yeah, I wish we kind of would have heard from some of them too, because I know that he had interactions with them.
No, Jimmy Hart.
Well, we heard from Typhoon, which was probably
that's Typhoon, the big one. So as a documentary, I would give this an 8. So I mean, take whichever one you want. The 4 is just me being hoity-toity.
Guys.
I would do. I'll be the same to that, children. On Dark Side, I'll give it a. I'll give it a 5, just because the shoot match he had with the Japanese guy and his career going down the tubes when he shouldn't have. However, it was a really good episode, highlighting a really nice guy in the wrestling business, which there isn't enough of. I'll give it a solid 8. If as a proper rating.
And I also put it up in the chat, so the poll up in the chat. So, if you guys can go over there and check out.
I think this episode had bits of dark sideness to it, but not enough to warrant a Dark Side episode. I almost wish, in a way, that they could rename this episode, like I said, Spotlight or something like that. As a Dark Side episode, I'll give it a 4 as well, I'm afraid. But as a documentary, a biopic episode, Spotlight, I'll give it a 9. I thought it was very well well done. They told everything they needed to tell really well. All the bits, including additional bits like Shockmaster as well, which was really good to have some real revelation on that too, because that is a memorable moment. It's like for me, the debut, the killing of Damien, Shockmeister, him calling himself John Tenta. Those were all memorable things for me, and they brought them all up, which is why I'm giving it a 9. And obviously the love for his family and everything. It was almost like a feel-good episode to a degree. You just wish John Tenta was still alive to talk, to maybe talk about his side of things. Definitely not dark side worthy, unfortunately. The guy hasn't got an ounce in him to make this into a dark side episode. 9 out of 10 for me as an overall episode for what it is. It was very well constructed. I did enjoy it, and I look forward to the next. Do you know what the next episode is?
Off the top of my, I can look really quick. I meant to look earlier. Guy in the chair failing again. Next one is Buff Bagwell.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Boy, Buff Bagwell. I can tell you right
he's
now,
got loads of. Trust me, that will be that side because he has loads of stories.
I know. He was a male prostitute for women.
He was a hoe in different area codes. Sorry. Yes, he was.
And he's still alive. So I'm looking forward to it.
Listen, if we don't hear from Mama Bagwell, I riot. 0 out of 10. We need to have, what is it? What is her name? Vicky Bagwell? No, what was her name? I don't remember.
I don't know, but I remember him as Marcus Alexandra Bagwell.
I remember him.
If she ain't on the forklift, we ain't playing.
Well, actually, I'm going to say, like, him and Two Skulls Scorpio were such an amazing tag team in WCW. Because when he was Marcus Alexander Bagwell, fucking hell, were they a good.
He had everything about him to be a proper baby face.
Even his NWO. I mean, he was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I look forward to that episode. And,
see, now that's one I might, if I get home soon enough, that one I might be able to join you guys for, because I know, like, that was my heyday. That was the mid '90s when I first started watching wrestling. With Bagwell and all, and he was pretty much NWO when I came in. But I mean,
they're gonna definitely bring up his one and only match in the WWE as well, probably. So
it match with Booker T that basically ended Fabian showed of WCW.
I watched that match. And I don't see what warranted him getting fired. But fair enough.
I don't either. I thought it was a pretty decent match.
They were probably just looking for people to get rid of, and they just he drew the short straw.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll take us out, Gio.
Sure, why not? Just so you guys know, in the chat we have about a 60% on 8 to 9. So everybody agrees with that. Well, mostly everybody agrees with us that this was a really good episode, whether it be Dark Side or just talking about wrestlers. However you guys voted is fine. Also, maybe this weekend we'll get together if we can get it all watched. But Extraordinary came back, I think, yesterday. So I might start watching that tonight. I am super excited for Extraordinary.
Is it on Disney?
I think it is for you guys. I think it's on Hulu for us.
Okay, regarding Disney have got another show. It might be on Hulu for you guys in America called Shogun. Please watch that. That is.
Apparently, I won't like it because I'm me. So
yeah, but apart from you, please watch Shogun. Shogun is like a Japanese version of Game of Thrones. It's so good. It's so good. I love it.
All right. But with that all being said, tomorrow we have our Trek podcast. We're going to be talking about the best Star Trek memes. We have a bunch of people coming on for that. Friday we have, I believe, The World's Gone Insane. And then if Zam and Gary and Christine and Ginger are bored on Saturday, you might see some Bullocks and banter. You never know. So, So with all that being said, that's the rest of the week, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here. We are NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you have kind of maybe sort of heard of. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Catch you later. Bye-bye.